it's Carolyn from Hello Vintage, and today I am giving you the worst way of keeping your clothing. Dun dun dun! So, drum roll please. This is the worst way to keep your vintage clothes. This is a very common way that I see people keep their clothes, and they believe that this is what is best for the clothes, but the reality is it's the opposite. This method of keeping clothes is popular because this is what you get when you get something from the dry cleaners. So we just assume that this is what's best for the clothes. But in reality, this is what's best for the dry cleaners. These wire hangers are super thin, so they're able to accommodate more hangers on their racks. And this plastic protects them from rubbing up against other items, so if you have sequins or buttons or things, they don't get caught in other items. But these are not meant for long-term storage. These are meant to get you from the dry cleaner home, and then after that, you should be taking these out. So why, you might ask? We'll start out with the hanger.
Wire hangers are death for your clothes.
And I am only mildly exaggerating. This will make the item tug on the shoulder. And sometimes the wires can even rust through the clothes, which is something that you can't always take out. Wire hangers are extremely thin and they don't have a lot of surface area to support the shoulders of your clothes. It weighs down over time, which deforms the shoulders, which is obviously really bad. And even when you have something super lightweight like a t-shirt, because the fabric is so thin and gravity exists, it pulls down the whole thing, which can cause not only misshapen shoulders, but it makes the whole thing misshapen. So if you wonder why something doesn't fit normally, even though you've had it on a hanger in the closet for years, maybe that's why. If you want an alternative that's still good and space saving, you could try these velvet hangers because they don't let it slip, and they're a little thicker than wire, and since they are coated in the velvet and not in metal, they won't cause the shoulders to have any rust damage, and they do have a little more strength and surface area. For long term, I would absolutely recommend a padded hanger or folding them and putting them in either cloth or a pillowcase or something that can let the fabric breathe, which leads me to why you
Absolutely never, ever don't want to put your clothing in plastic.
Plastic does not let your clothes breathe, which is especially bad if you live anywhere with any sort of humidity, because humidity will get trapped underneath the plastic and it can cause mold, mildew, all sorts of really awful things for your clothes, and we don't want that. Especially when it comes to natural fibers. If you have your clothes in these bags and it's in a hot area, it can dry out the fabric from the inside out, and because it has no airflow, the fabric can literally crumble to the touch over time. And this is heartbreaking when you see something that looks to be in beautiful condition and then you touch it and it just feels crunchy and gross and breaks my heart. It's the amount of times that people have brought things into me to sell and they said that it's been worn once and then put in the closet and never looked at again, but it was stored like this, and then when I get it, it's deteriorated and they're shocked because they thought they were doing what was best for their clothes. And it's so tragic because sometimes you can rescue it, but most of the times you can't. Another thing that's super important with storage is keeping it out of extreme temperatures. So one of the other issues that can happen when you store something like this is that when you keep it in extreme heat, any sort of oils or things that came off of the skin when you wore it, like deodorant or lotions or anything like that, will show up on the fabric and stain it permanently. So I have seen so many times where something was completely clean and beautiful when they put it into storage, and then when it comes out, all of these stains that they never expected to be there just show up. It'll have underarm stains, you might see some dribbles, or anything that was touching the skin will show up, and people are shocked when they see that their beautiful pieces have gotten stains, they're crunchy, they have rust marks on the shoulders, all because they were stored in the dry cleaner bags. Sometimes when you have something that you put away, if you don't clean it before you store it long term, then all of those oils have time to oxidize, they rise to the surface, the heat brings it out, and they will not go away. They are essentially baked into the clothes, which is so sad. I really, my heart just breaks for everyone who brings something in and then I have to turn it away because the condition is not repairable. What do you do instead? How do you avoid disasters like this? So I would recommend, depending on the piece, to store it in a way that lets it breathe, that doesn't put any stress on any part of the garment, and that really keeps it out of sunlight and extreme temperatures. So an ideal situation would be to have your items folded in an acid-free box, or you could have it folded in some canvas bags, or you could put it in a pillowcase if it's cotton. Just put it in something where it won't get touched by bugs or moisture or anything that can hurt the clothes, because when it comes to clothing, you need to protect it. If you have something that's antique, I would highly recommend taking acid-free tissue paper in those archival storage boxes and stuffing it with the tissue paper and then surrounding it with the tissue paper, so that way there's no stress on any of the seams. When it comes to things that are probably like 1950s and newer, you don't necessarily have to go to those extremes unless it's a very delicate piece. You want them to live forever, and we want to be able to enjoy them as long as possible. If you would like to hang it, I always recommend padded hangers. It puts the least amount of stress on the shoulders. You can use these velvet hangers for things that are more everyday wear, and you can use wooden hangers for things like suits and things that have shoulder pads that can take a little bit more stress to the shoulders because they're reinforced. So hopefully this helps with these tips for how to store your vintage and antique garments. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and like and subscribe and all those other fun things. I look forward to seeing you again. So bye bye.